everyone, welcome to the Big Arsenal Discussion. I'm your host Giles, and joining me as always are regulars Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, a man from the Laguna Girls podcast, and two special guests. We've got Mark King and also Tim Payton. Alright guys, let's move on to the transfer window. Yes, we love that. Great start by signing Czech. Nothing's happening in between. Do we think anything's going to happen? Tim, you're the man in the know.
Well, first of all, let's look at the factual situation. Well, what we do know about is we do know the club have got the finances that they can make things happen.
Yes, we know that.
And they haven't got £200 million to spend, like one of the board directors came out and suggested a few weeks ago. Probably between 60 and 80 million, depending on how bold you are as a club.
In the kitchen?
Yes,
right.
Yeah, in cash reserves to spend. Because of the 200 million, you need to spend quite a lot of that on running the stadium, paying the team each month and everything. But you can afford, but where the director, it was Harris. No, it was Harris, the carpet man, wasn't that far off. Because we can sign almost anyone in world football other than the big two with that kind of money, and also we've got the confidence of these big income streams we've got coming next year with the new TV deals. So Arsenal, there is no reason why we don't sign now other than the decision of the manager on strengthening his squad. They would love Benzema. They would wanted Benzema 2 years ago. The hope was that Madrid would let Benzema go when the desperate need was to buy a centre forward, and they'd gone through Higuain and Suarez, and Madrid said no, but would you like Ozil? And they thought, well, we need somebody big, and they signed Ozil right at the end of the window. Last year, of course, there was a panic, and because Giroud got injured at Everton, and they bought Welbeck. And I don't think on the 14th of August, which is where we are as we're recording this, but they knew it was going to be Ozil and they knew it was going to be Welbeck. So none of us can predict who it might be before the transfer window comes up. But I've asked a lot of the journalists, a lot of the people that work in football that I know, there is not one sign or indication that Benzema would leave Madrid. Usually you can see Madrid doing the unsettling of the player they're going to sign. And the unsettling that they've done, well, you can see it's the Manchester United goalkeeper. That's their big target. Definitely. You also cannot see, not one football person of any credibility can give you a logic for why they let Benzema go. There is a shortage of any position in the world. There is a shortage of really good goal scorers. We need one. United still need one. Chelsea would probably go in and buy one because their one's got a dodgy hamstring. I just cannot see. And there's not an agent giving a nudge, there's neither Wenger nor Benitez giving a nudge. No. Just don't think it's going to happen. But you can never say never in football. Maybe if we took that whole 70 million, offered them 70 million for him, they'd say, wow, you're nuts, but we'll take it, you can have him. You can't rule anything out for deadline day, but I don't see Benzema happening. I just don't see any of the signs are there. Finally, I really hope we do spend it. 60 million in the bank is not going to keep clean sheets or score goals. It really isn't. And actually, as Chelsea have shown in recent years, if you buy wisely, you can sell them on again. And at the moment, player values are going up faster than holding it in the bank. Yeah. We keep it in the bank. Barclays will give us about 1.5%. You buy a decent player, they're probably worth 30% more next year because every Premier League club is getting this big injection of TV money and they'll all be buying players. So as long as you buy wisely, you increase the value of your team and you increase your chances of winning more points. So I really hope we do it, but I suspect that at best we've got one more coming.
It's such a shame in the old days we'd promote from the reserves and a great goal scorer would come through, or it's just not like that anymore. I think we will buy, but I do depend. With you, I'm with the fact that it'll all happen around the last week, which I don't know when it is. Is it the Friday it ends or the Monday?
It's the second, so Tuesday's the first, isn't it?
Yes,
so it's Tuesday.
Although because I think we go into international break, so it's a relatively calm period for the club. It's not like it's right on top of a game or anything like that. I think it's actually the Liverpool game, and then there's like a week leading up to the window.
I think towards the end of after the Liverpool game, maybe a week after, that it will start, as you said, it will be a domino effect. One will go.
We know that Manchester United have still got at least one or two big issues to sort out.
Well, De Gea's on the bench, isn't he?
They've still got to sort out one of their final signings. So there is money to throw around, and I think that there will be a lot happening on that final day.
We definitely need a striker. We definitely need a DM. But I've said it every year.
Started really well, haven't we? In some ways, we always do.
Yeah, I think we'll make a signing. Like Tim said, it's really hard to predict who it could be. It could be Benzema. If the deal is big enough, I think there is a possibility that Benzema could come, but also similar to the same situation with Ozil, Benzema at the moment does not want to leave Madrid. So it's going to depend on Madrid. It's all down to Madrid, and we all want a real world-class striker, but there's not a lot of world-class strikers available out there. And the ones that are available out there, it's a real premium. I mean, even Higuain, they're talking about things like 50 million, which is way too much for a player of that calibre. I think we could do with a defensive midfielder as well. We've been linked with this week with is it Krojcek from. Is that how you pronounce it?
Have you been practicing?
How do you say it?
Krokowiak.
Oh,
Okay.
I can't have him. Can't see his name.
But we've been linked with Krokowiak, and he looks a very good player actually, and that's doable. There's a release clause there of I think it's 21.3 million. But it's if Arsene Wenger's gonna, because again, what I've been told is that he's really happy with Coquelin. Coquelin's his number one. So that guy is a top defensive midfielder. Would he want to come and sit on the bench as well? So it's really hard to decipher. But Arsenal always seem at the end to come up with something. You were very true in what you're saying, Tim. I mean, nobody saw Welbeck coming in.
Well, it wouldn't have happened, but for the injury at the Everton game.
Yeah, and nobody saw Ozil.
I don't think Ozil would have happened, but
nobody saw
Calstrom game.
Yeah, and even when talking to Ivan Gazidis, he said that he goes, they're kind of. He's almost like you're saying, we're kind of proud of the fact that we come up with players sometimes that nobody's expecting. We're working behind the scenes sometimes on signings that nobody's expecting, but who that striker's going to be.
So, okay, let me ask you. Let me put this to Mark. Do you think it's going to be one player or two players? And if it's one player, is it a striker for you or a DM that's more important to the team?
It's difficult to say. To be perfectly honest, up front, you've got options that you can play at centre forward. Although we've seen us try it. We've tried Welbeck there. We've tried Theo there. We've tried Alexis there. Not for any great period of time, but certainly you wouldn't say that any of them really made you think, okay, that's a definite thing we could do. Maybe Theo, yeah. So I think we have got some options there. Surprising him letting go Akpom, right now rather than waiting and seeing what happened over the rest of the window. Why let him go straight away?
Said he weren't going to sell him. Said he wasn't going to make him go out on loan, and he went out on loan.
Well, he says today that he doesn't want Flamini to go, which is obviously bullshit. But anyway, so I think maybe we've got more cover there than we have at the end. Now, from my point of view, is if Coquelin gets injured or suspended, that's when you're then looking at Arteta and Flamini. And to me.
Yeah,
that's too much of a risk to take for a club in the situation we are. Whereas Tim says we are cash rich when we're talking about buying a defensive midfielder. We are talking about Arsenal, London, with Arsene Wenger playing alongside Mesut Ozil. We should not have.
Coquelin gets injured or suspended over the busy Christmas period. And Flamini has been moved on as we want. Arteta can't play the 4 games in 9 days, and even if he can, is it what's needed? You drop a few points in that period then, and it costs you the title while you've got £60 million sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
If that's the scenario, it's poor management. And if you sign the player and Coquelin doesn't get injured and has 37 fantastic games, then brilliant.
Yeah.
You've won the title anyway,
Couldn't agree with you
and you've got
anymore.
the backup there. It's like saying I won't buy an insurance premium.
Yeah.
It's a false economy.
But one point I tried to sort of raise yesterday about this Krychowiak is that people are saying Arsenal won't pay 24 million for a guy.
21.3 million, I think.
They won't pay 21 million pound for a guy that Sevilla paid 4 million for last year, a year ago.
Should be irrelevant.
Now the thing is, that was July, when they bought him for 4 million. 5 months later, we paid 3 million for Bielik, 17-year-old. Why? How are we not buying Krychowiak for 4 million pound then? Why are we not? Where is our scouting network now? Where has it gone? If we can't go and buy Benzema, you need to buy the next Benzema. But it doesn't seem to be happening.
Who's the next Benzema though?
That's the thing. That's what your scouting network is out there.
But we're
to
not
do.
the scouts, are we? They should know who the next.
I mean, they've looked at players like Aubameyang.
That's what their job
But then
is.
he stayed at
he signed a new deal, isn't he?
signed a new deal at
That was the
Dortmund.
usual.
There was this Lacazette that we were all being told he's staying at Lyon. there's really, I mean, it is going to be, if you can't get Benzema, you have to go and find that up and coming. But are fans willing to wait on the up and coming? They won't. They want it now, and we've got a lot of money, like Tim said. But are those players out there?
Exactly.
Those real top quality.
We have got the money.
What puzzles me is why we are waiting to the end of the window. I mean, you talk about wanting to get your players and having them have a full pre-season. You know, get used to the system, new players, new club, and new surroundings and whatnot. Why are we waiting?
Can I just say something? You don't know that we haven't gone in for 5 players and not got them.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't know.
Yeah.
It's not Arsenal walk in and go, want that player, come and play for us now. You might have to wait. You know, we don't have any God-given right, and maybe the top clubs are where we're going are saying, wait, and we've got no choice. There could be that scenario. It could be the scenario as Wenger's doing a Wenger.
Although
we don't
sometimes we need to be more aggressive.
But you don't know we're
We are
not.
not aggressive enough in the. You see City, that De Bruyne deal will get done.
Okay,
Right?
Robbie, we're not
if it-
City. How many times have we got to say this? We do not
Well,
pay.
60
We could
million
we
quid.
could buy him if we wanted.
Right.
60 million.
We could have had Schneiderlin.
Yeah.
Actually, he and ahhed over it last season and was indecisive.
Yeah.
This year, he could have gone head to head with Manchester United. It would have cost a lot of money.
But how do you know Schneiderlin wanted to come to us? He might have wanted to go to United.
Well, what we should have done was give him the choice by putting the money down, but we didn't.
Aggression.
And
Aggression.
How
much
much
you
don't
want
know
for him?
that.
Here it is.
Yeah, but maybe
But
Schneiderlin didn't want to come to us.
we always like.
We
It's
didn't
not
bid.
just-
We was waiting.
All right, but
We was waiting, Amanda. What we was waiting for?
I'm playing
Sometimes you got to go. Jump
you know
in.
what I'm doing, don't you? You can't just say we're not doing
But
it.
there are 12 points in the league before the transfer window shuts.
Yes, I know.
And that's 12 points is big, and those players that we could have maybe had integrated into the team now could have made a big difference in that 12. Could have been the difference between losing, drawing, winning.
I'm not arguing with any of you on this.
Sunday.
I agree with you that they should have been in June, July time. I agree. But if the clubs won't allow it and the players don't want to come, what can Arsenal do?
No, you're right. It's difficult, but as Robbie says, that's when you've got to up your game and you've got to be more aggressive. You've got to maybe offer more money and force the other club into thinking, we can't turn that down.
I think
we can find a replacement for this player we sell to Arsenal with that
And
money.
remember, you also got to remember, Amanda, that at the moment, right, with the strength of the pound against the euro, so like that. Say, for instance, the money that the release clause that they put on that Polish guy was 30 million euros. At that time, they thought that nobody will come in and try and. But now that's because of the value of the pound. So you can argue that we've got even more strength with the money that we've got.
The problem is,
we've got to let these things.
The problem is, us as fans couldn't care less about the money. We just, if we want the player, we want the player. If we've got the money, but the board and our club, the clubs are different there, aren't they? Do you understand what I'm saying? To you, just go and spend 25 million quid. And I've got this issue about this Villa game. Okay, you're telling me because we were atrocious against Villa, he spent 40 million quid.
Yes.
Just because of that one game.
I really don't, Amanda.
Are you really?
No.
I'm really unsure about this, knowing how our club works.
You know how poisonous the atmosphere was that day.
And do you think Wenger cares?
Yeah.
Yes.
What he had was he had a bunch of players that
I
were
think the
depressed.
board
and
certainly
it was
cared.
the rest of the
So
squad.
he sat there and
needed
went,
a
"Oh, we
signing.
got him to spend
He
40
needed a
million
signing.
without thinking about
It's
it."
not to say without thinking about it. What had gone wrong that summer, and the club messed it up. They messed up massively buying a striker. There were 2 available. One they pulled out of. And I thought they were wise to do that because they were going to go after Suarez. Where they got it wrong with Suarez was they didn't go back with another 10 million.
I was just about to say they haven't learned from Suarez.
But clearly they had money to spend and they were prepared to do it. When Ozil became available, they were able to do that. But it wasn't like a strategic signing that filled our need at the time. It came up out of the Villa game and the money being there to spend. Now that's partly good that the club has got the resources and able to respond to it, but it clearly wasn't a strategic plan. So he was being offered around all summer. Moyes turned him down. Goodness knows why. If he'd signed him, he might have kept his job for a year longer. But he was everyone knew that Real Madrid wanted him out. The issue was that Ozil didn't want to go, had to be given the most amazing salary package to kind of persuade him that living in London wasn't going to be that bad. It took him about 15 months to get over his soul.
I'm one of these that didn't want Wenger here at the start of the season anyway. I know everyone doesn't believe this, but I didn't. Okay, he is, and now we have to go with what he's doing, right? My issue is, if the players are not available in June or July, what can he do?
Okay.
The proof of the pudding will be on the 1st of September.
Indeed. At Elsby92, and he or she asks, please ask about Wenger and his lack of ambition to pursue a world-class and settled for third at best. Let me try and read that again. Please talk about Wenger and his lack of ambition to pursue world class and settle for third at best. So, do you think that Wenger is showing a lack of ambition in the transfer market, and do you think with that lack of ambition in mind we're going to finish at third at best?
I don't think he's showing a lack of ambition. I agree with Amanda. They're obviously looking at people. They're looking at targets. I just want to see a bit more aggression with Arsenal. When Barcelona, when Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, when they're after a player, PSG, they don't. It's not all this hanging back. They just go out and say, "Well, how much?" Well, we're putting this on the table. We don't seem to do that. Our tactic seems a bit dated that we used to try and. If you're going to get these big players, sometimes you're going to have to spend a bit more. And I think the ambition is there. Czech was a great signing. It couldn't have been an easy thing to pull off. That was a great signing. Just like Alexis was a great signing last year. But just get one of those over the line this season, and I honestly think we've got a good chance. We can challenge.
Mark, do you think if we don't do any more business, that's our title chances up in smoke?
I don't know. I wouldn't say Chelsea have improved that much. I think they're still going to be the team to catch. I think depending on what City do, if they bring in De Bruyne and if they do some more, then maybe I think they're going to actually be the biggest challengers to Chelsea. I think then at the moment we're probably fighting for third after that. So I think unless we actually add a couple of players, I'm doubtful we can win the league, because at some point we would need those players, and if we haven't got them, then that's what's going to cost us.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Can I just put in, I think the other position that we need, I think the position that we talked about a lot this time next year is at centre-back. Because I think that Per Mertesacker is a good player, but I'm not sure he's a centre-back now, where he is now, who takes a team to the title. And I think that if Koscielny got injured, and you look at the three that would have to carry it for a long period of time, now again it comes back to this, it's quite tough to find the world class that improves greatly on them, but I'm not sure they're quite there. And if you can't find a defensive midfielder, then the other position that you could strengthen is, you need a defensive midfielder to protect because of his lack of pace. So I think there's three positions that could and should be strengthened.
Do you think that Gabriel is not ready to step in?
I think we will find out more and we'll see more of that. The player that I am very suspect about, although youngsters develop in different curves, is having Chambers. Just wasn't convinced that he looked like he was mobile enough and going to be right for that position.
Was that centre half or right?
Centre half.
He's still early with him.
But it is very, very early with him. Yeah. But what he should really be, in my view, when you're young, and particularly in positions like that are about your positioning, you should be out on loan playing 38 games so you learn. Because the problem is, he'll end up having to play that position for Arsenal in a busy week in November, which will be a key Champions League qualifying game, and and the game against Manchester United, and he'll get pitched in. He won't have played much for 6 months, and we'll all say, well, he's still learning. It doesn't do these youngsters any good to come to the big teams and then sit in their reserves most of the time and then get the grief when they get thrown in. We need to see more of him, but he wasn't at the standard that was going to take Arsenal through big title-winning games and Champions League games.
Do you think he suffered though when he came in? I mean, at first he looked pretty solid. The first few games he looked pretty solid. And then with the players going down in defence and defence being reshaped, do you think he might have been affected by that? It's a lot for a young guy to come
Probably
in.
the pressure from the youngsters to play at a team like Arsenal is they get so much more scrutiny, and when they dip a little bit, everybody notices it, which is why I do think their agents and their advisors would be wise to keep them at their slightly smaller clubs for longer, where there's more time to develop and learn the game, and probably you're better moving on at 21, 22 when you've played 200 games and you've learnt your positioning and you've learnt how to play the centre-back and got used to the Premier League. I just feel at the moment, particularly if Koscielny goes down for 3 months, if his Achilles goes again or he gets a long-term injury, I think we'll see that position looking really threadbare over the season. Manchester United lost their 2 lead central defenders for most of last season. And if that happens to us, I think we'll really suffer.
The only thing is who are the centre-backs? I mean, you see John Stones, 34 million valuation for, but also a kid who makes, much as I heard everybody trying to praise him last week, he made a mistake for the second goal. So I don't know. You
Well,
know,
that's because he's English and it's Chelsea. So.
But remember, Man City paid 30 million for Mangala.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
awful in his first season.
Yeah.
I think it seems like there's, as much as it's strikers, there's also defenders are a premium now. You know, people
The central
paying
defender position,
Definitely.
Yeah,
Centre
they're
half.
paying for potential rather than
Not
actual
many
established
Tony
talent.
Adams around, are there?
There isn't at all. All right, so that's been a big Arsenal discussion. I've been your host, Giles. I want to thank our guests, Mark King and Tim Payton, for coming in, and I want to welcome back Amanda from her trip, her cruise.
would you bring us back?
Hopefully luck.
Yeah, so join us again. Make sure you comment and hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you.